Hello friends, just a quick note before we get into this next episode of From the Van. We recorded live in the convention hall at Tiny Fest 2020 with Sydney from Divine on the Road, and we did it in one of the bounciest sounding rooms that I've ever been in. I've run the audio through plugins and tried my best to clean it up. We're intelligible, you can hear what we're saying, and we had a really good, fun conversation, and the people in the audience seemed to be very engaged and happy. But the audio is just not very good, so I apologize for that. Don't feel bad if you can't make it through this episode. If you do, you are awesome. Hopefully you can enjoy it. The good news is we spoke to Sydney about this after the podcast, and she agreed to come back on in the proper setting in the van, and we'll record that, and maybe we'll replace this one with that at some point, but I just felt like I needed to upload this because my understanding is that there are some people who are interested in hearing it. So I apologize again for the sound quality, and I hope you enjoy the episode despite that.
Hey, if you're outside of the shrouded area and you want to see a podcast happen, which is a thing that you generally just listen to, get your ass in here. All right, let's do this. Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 50 of From the Van. It's episode 50.
Oh my god, I didn't realize you'd done 50.
It's a podcast from my van where I have conversations with people who have relationships with residential vehicles. I'm your host, Marty Benson. This is my best bud, Colette Hamilton. And we're here with Sydney from Divine on the Road.
Hello.
We're going to talk about living in a van and whatnot. Welcome to the podcast. This is the first one that we've ever done on a stage. If you guys want to ask questions later, I'm going to give you that opportunity. Let's get into it. How long have you been in a van?
I've been in a van for 2 years. I've been in my current van for a year and a half.
Okay, full time.
Full time. All 2 years. I kind of just jumped in all the way right off the bat.
Why?
Well, I really don't go halfway with many things. Like, it was either I'm going to do this or I'm going to not do this. And yeah, I was working at a restaurant like 80 hours a week. I hated everything. I was a junior and senior in school and working 80 hours a week. And so I always say, like, I think what usually takes 20 years for people to burn out of their 9 to 5, it took me 2 years. And so I just like needed to find an alternative. I came across van life on like social media, and then I had a boyfriend at the time, and so I showed him, I kind of forced him to like help me with like buying a van and building it out, and then we just left as soon as it was done.
I feel like we're in the same boat there. Little known fact, I'm an attorney. I practiced law for 2.5 months. About 12 years ago. And I was like, no, right? Yeah, so was it like a knee-jerk decision for you to move into a van?
It was, but hearing so many people's like reservations now, like even at an event like this, like so many people ask so many questions and they're hesitant and they're not really sure. Like, I never felt that way. I saw it and like something felt very right immediately, and I just was like that sounds kind of cliche, but like I was like called to do it. I just knew I was gonna love it. I didn't have any doubts about it. I was excited from day one. I loved every day of the build because I had a guy building it. That's why I love the build.
It's easy to love it when you don't have to do anything.
Exactly. Love that. But I bought everything. I would like go to Home Depot, I would like figure out what I wanted, I would do research on it, because the carpenter guy that I had doing it was my dad's friend. He didn't know what he was doing yet. And so I would just like drop stuff off at the barn in Indiana, and then he would like piece it together to make a van. So
you're like, here, go for it. Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. I brought like pizzas for lunch, and I just kind of like hung out, you know?
See, I tried to do that with Marty on this new build, and he wasn't going for it. He was like, no, you actually need to work. And I was like, what? I'm making food and
I didn't sign up
picking out colors. What more could you ask for?
Yeah. That's how I felt.
Okay. Well, I admire you I actually bought the van and started building it, and I thought I was going to hate living in it.
Oh, really?
I just got it for a weekender,
Yeah.
and then I moved into the van, and I freaking I don't anticipate living in a structure like a house.
Yeah, that's what.
Building.
Even online, a lot of people talk about like, well, this is just a temporary thing for us, and we love it, but it's temporary. And I'm sure eventually, maybe in 10 years, I don't know, I'll live in a house again.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine doing that right now. Like, it doesn't sound appealing at all. I have no desire to do it. Like, I want to be in the van for the foreseeable future.
So I have a question. Where do you poop? I'm kidding.
I have a podcast and I've answered that question. So and we can talk about it or not talk about it.
No. I don't want to talk about it because the answer is very. I just had to do that. But the thing is, living in a van offers you opportunities that you didn't even anticipate. I was talking to one of my friends who lives in a van earlier about the fact that the actual prescient questions, the interesting questions, don't even occur to you until you've been in the van for like 5 or 6 months or something like that. And then you learn what it's offered to you. So can you tell us a little bit about what living in the van altered about your lifestyle, apart from not working in a job that you hated?
Yeah, I mean, it offers so much. I would say, like, because of the job I had, like I said, I was working 80 hours a week, and my boss was just like Satan on earth, and he just like broke me down as a human being. My self-worth and my confidence was at an absolute all-time low. I just felt really crappy about the person that I was, because he was always like, I mean, he's the kind of boss who was like, it's the restaurant industry in downtown Chicago, so he's like screaming at you all the time, calling you all these different names every single day. I haven't slept in weeks, and so it just like really started to like mess with my mentality. And so I think being a single woman on the road, having full control over my life, and every decision I make every day, like, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, this is what dog park I'm choosing for the day, this is where I'm gonna choose to go to the bathroom for the day. Like, you choose literally every micro decision in your life, and I think doing that over a period of time, I have built my confidence and my self-worth to something that it wasn't anywhere near 2 years ago when I started this. And that's because I have full control over my life, and I have full control over every decision, that like this lifestyle has taught me 100% of what I'm capable of, and like what I can actually do and offer the world. And like, I don't know, I feel like I'm actually contributing in a way.
That's beautiful. One of the things that breaks my brain about living in the van is that your comfort zone is totally malleable. It's subjective, right?
Yeah.
Where you're comfortable and what you're comfortable with is totally changeable.
Right.
And you know, we've been in this tiny van, and we just moved to a larger van, but we're still in smaller vans than most other people.
Yeah.
And it feels like a freaking mansion to us, right? I've listened to a little bit of your podcast, and it's very good. Go listen to Sydney's podcast. You talk a whole bunch about self-worth and ego or lack thereof. What's your journey been on that during the van process?
I mean, it doesn't, I guess it kind of correlates with the van process, but my journey more or less has been like growing a social media following, that like, even on a day like today where someone says like, this is my first interaction with an Instagram celebrity, like, I'm just like, I'm like, what? Like, who are you talking to? Who is behind me? Like, it doesn't feel that way at all. None of it feels like real. Like, I always tell people, when my phone is sitting face down, I don't have followers. Like, that's not like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously those people are real and they matter, and you don't, when you're just sitting in your van, you don't see that. But I just think it's important to be like a real person. So I talk about mental health, I talk about my experiences with depression and anxiety, and the fact that like, I feel the same things like everybody else obviously would be feeling. And the pedestal that some people put an influencer, whatever that means, on, like, it doesn't exist. Like, you don't have to think of anyone else that way. And so yeah, I think like in terms of ego, the reason why I stay humbled all the time is just because like, I always tell people I'm a girl from Indiana. Like, I'm not from Southern California where this was a realistic lifestyle for me. This was Indiana where I was the first person that I knew of that ever did it. And so to the random like girls in Nebraska who have never heard of this, and they're the oddball out, and they suffer from anxiety and they're doing this or that, and like they may not have the highest confidence and stuff, like get in a van and come find me. Like that's what I always tell them.
Nice. For those of you who have been hiding under a rock, Sydney has more Instagram followers than me and all of you put together, including Moxie and Lynn. You guys rocked so hard earlier. Okay, well, I gotta ask this question. Who built your second van?
The same guys that built the first. And I'm gonna get a third build. Yeah, I'm gonna get a third build this fall, and they will not be doing it. So the carpenter was a family friend of my dad, and he knew an electrician. So the electrician helped with the solar. The carpenter obviously did all the cabinetry and everything. And in terms of running a business, they can build a beautiful van, but in terms of running a business, they are two guys from Indiana doing it out of a barn, and they're not great at business. And so we had some conflict towards the end, even conflicts that resulted in like the relationship between my dad and his friend kind of dissolving, and which is extremely unfortunate. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But it was the same guys for both builds. And they build a gorgeous van. I'm not like knocking their talent at all. Just they need to learn a little bit of the business side as well.
What sucks about living in a van?
It's the worst question because I love living in a van. Like I don't ever want to not live in a van. I don't know what. I mean, I guess finding a place to go to the bathroom every day, or like sometimes not having to like be able to access Planet Fitness because that's where I shower. Like small things like that. But there's never been a day where I'm just like, God, I wish I just had an Airbnb, or I wish I just need to get a hotel for a night. I've literally never had that feeling in 2 years. I don't think I've stayed in a hotel one time because my dog got surgery and I needed like just a place for her to chill for a day. But other than that, I'm good.
Your answer to his question about like why you love van life is probably my favorite that I've ever heard, about you getting to make your choices about everything. I think that's really cool because I always want to ask like, what's it like being a single female? Because I have anxiety when he's like not around me, and I'm like gonna go to bed by myself in the van, and I'm like, why am I so nervous right now? And I'm like, there are all these badass women doing this, and I wonder like, what's it like in that perspective? Like, are there any downsides? Are there any like things that make it extra great? Or
I mean, I guess like, so I have social anxiety, so I actually get anxiety being around another person. So like, I was in a relationship recently, and I had more anxiety about like traveling with him, and like he had a house in Tahoe, and so I would have to like go to the house and sit in this house to be in a relationship for a couple weeks before leaving in the van again. And it was the worst couple of weeks. Every time I would go, it was like my least favorite part about living in the van. So I think like I just love being on my own. I love my dogs, and they're like all I need is myself and my dogs.
That's so awesome.
Pretty much it. So yeah, I don't get any anxiety being alone. Even today, like every couple hours, I gotta like shut my van up and just sit in my van, decompress, and like those are my happiest moments.
Yeah, that's gotta be really nice. I love this man. I love him so much. But sometimes I'm like, I want to be alone. And I don't have anywhere to go to be alone. And that's weird, but you know, I love him a lot, so it's okay. But once in a while, I'm like, oh, I miss living alone. That was cool.
One of the things that I find, that just to jump back a second to something you said a minute ago, is that like when we go to somebody's house, we are not staying in your house.
No,
you know what I mean? It's real sweet,
right?
But I don't want to.
And even when I'll be like, no, it's fine. They're like, no, stay in the house. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, you're always like, no, I have my bed and my stuff with me. You know what that's like? I want that. I'll use your shitter in your shower, but I'll sleep in my own bed.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think they like, obviously it's with good intentions, like they're trying to offer you like a comfortable place for the night, but they view it as like, you're living in your car, please come stay in a house for a night. And I'm like, no, I'm staying in my house. Like, it would be like inviting your neighbor over for a night. Like, you wouldn't do that. Please don't do it. I'm just gonna be your neighbor for a night, and I'll come use your shower in the morning. And I'm gonna call it a day.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm really terrified about, and it hasn't happened yet, but in the van, the one thing that would drive me to get an Airbnb, which is very similar to what you said a minute ago, is if my dog gets hit by a skunk. You know what I mean? Like, if the dog gets hit by a skunk, we don't have a bathtub for me to put tomato juice in.
Right.
I'm getting an Airbnb and I'm stinking up your house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably do that too.
Yeah.
It's a good excuse.
Yeah. So on to the question of like, you live in a vehicle, you're living in a car, and there's that Chris Farley joke that everybody freaking makes, right? But my question, yeah, you know it.
I was gonna say, somebody had to say it.
My question is, I love talking to people about this. What is your experience with the stigma around van life? Like your close circle of people, your homies, your family, whatever. How did they react to the whole thing? I want to live in a car.
Yeah, I mean, I think my family was very put off at the very beginning. They were kind of like, wait a second, what is this? But as soon as they certainly saw the photos and stuff like that, they kind of got on board with it. And I'm really lucky, like I have the most supportive parents, and so everybody else is kind of just background noise. Like I don't really mind what my extended family thinks. They all live on farms in Indiana, so I'm like, you're probably not gonna get it. It's not that big of a deal to me. As long as my parents have my back, I'm good. And so then once they saw my first van being built and they like saw what it was, I mean, my dad tells everyone, like when my dad meets someone in the grocery store, he'll be like, my daughter's defined on the road, you should follow her on Instagram. Like,
That's how you got all those followers.
Yeah, just my dad like walking around. My personal marketer. My family supports me 100%. They think it's awesome. And like most people are that way eventually. Maybe if it's not like your immediate family because they don't get it or something, but like it's hard to look at a nice looking van and not think it's cool. Like at least I think, you know what I mean? And most people are that way. You see how many people are here today.
Yeah.
Because people think it's cool. And so it's even my extended family who didn't get it at all. And they still don't understand me actually living in it, but like they think the van is awesome. So I think knowing who I am also my whole life, like I was always kind of a weirdo. And I think they were like, yeah, sounds about right for Sydney. Like it doesn't surprise anyone.
So, go ahead.
I've had a couple of my oldest friends who I talk to, and I'm like, yeah, we're living in a van now, we're getting a better van, and I tell them about what's going on, and they look at me and they go, yeah, that sounds about right. Right. I don't know if it's like oddly validating in a way. You're like, okay, well, guess I'm going in a good direction, and my friends get it.
Yeah. I mean, at least it tells you that you kind of like know who you are. Like you're staying consistent in the type of person that you are.
Exactly.
Like I've always been this person. No,
Where do you anticipate that this is going to take you? I mean, I want to talk in a minute. I want to talk about the whole digital nomad thing because you're doing that.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the holy grail of traveling. But where do you? Let's jump in front of that for a second. Where do you see this whole thing taking you? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
I honestly have no idea. Like, I don't know where I'm gonna go with it. I didn't know I was gonna get to the point where I am now. I never planned on what has happening. So the thing I've learned the most is that like opportunities just keep presenting themselves. Like every week I'll just meet someone in a coffee shop. Like I met the owner of Vancraft literally in a coffee shop, and now I'm like doing social media stuff for him. And then like I'll meet someone down the road maybe because of him or because of someone else I've met. And like it's just these series of opportunities. And I think the most important piece to take away from that is that if I wouldn't have taken a scary leap into the dark of nothingness and having no idea what I was actually going to be doing, none of those series of opportunities would have ever presented itself. And so when people say like, I just don't know how to answer these questions, if I could just have these questions answered, I'd live in a van too, I have to tell them like, none of those were answered for me either. I just did it and kind of said hope that it worked. And like, the good news is that the resale value on vans is pretty good. So like, if it doesn't work, sell your van, get your money back, and go do your thing that you were just doing. But like, it's worth taking the risk. You might as well do it and see what happens for a while, you know?
My family is not quite as supportive of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I grew up in the South with a very comfortable situation, but a family that's like not super into me living in a car. And my dad asked me, he's like, what's gonna happen if you get sick? And I'm like, I'm just gonna lay in bed like you would.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But one of the things I feel like this whole process has taught me is like there is no there. There's no end of the road, right? And a lot of people that I ask this question to of where are you going don't have the answer. because they've already let go.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you gotta let go of expectations, I guess. Like, but the thing is, the job before that I was doing for this, which I guess if you're in a very particular career, moving up the ladder, you would have kind of an idea. But I think for a lot of people, even working a regular job, like I was saying, with what I was doing, I didn't know where I was going then, but I was miserable not knowing. I was miserable doing what I was doing. I was miserable all across the board. So you might as well do something that you're happy about in the meantime, and also not know what you're doing. You know?
Yeah. So let's talk about Instagram. What are you doing? How do you get by? Tell me a story. How did this happen? You're a cute woman with cute dogs.
I just take some good pictures. I don't know. I'm just like, it's like, okay, you just need like 2 photos, and I posted a picture. This is really what happened, okay? I was like growing it a little bit. I didn't know what I was doing, but I posted one photo of my puppy looking out the back doors at Yellowstone National Park. And that picture hit all the 4 corners, like every corner of the world. It went absolutely everywhere. It has been seen. It like blew up on Reddit. It blew up on Facebook. And so like from that moment on, it just kind of snowballed. And it was like because of that one photo going viral or whatever. And I mean from then, and I also think, like I hate talking about myself in like any kind of narcissistic way. I feel so uncomfortable, but like people really do enjoy how real I am. Like I will sit here and tell you about shitting in a van and in a bag and things like that, and like I will tell you about my anxiety. I will tell you what triggers that anxiety. I will tell you exactly where today my mental health is. I will tell you if I'm happy, if I'm sad, if I just got done crying, if I'm kind of drunk. Like I will tell you how it is in that moment and how I'm feeling. And I think that just kind of humanizes me in a way that a lot of people on social media don't do. And I think that just continuously makes people gravitate towards it because they want to see someone who is an influencer, but that they can also relate to. Like that's one of my most common comments is that like, wow, she's so like people always say she as if it wasn't on my own Instagram. Like I'm not gonna see it, but like people be like, she's so down to earth, and like, you know, that's a nice compliment because that's what I would be striving to be, you know? Like, I don't know. I didn't do anything special. I just don't lie.
So, is Instagram your living?
It is more recently. I was like really uncomfortable with the idea of monetizing people following me for being real. Like, I was like, okay, you've kind of made this your thing, and now you're gonna like do ads and make money and like, you know, market products that you will believe in, and you'll only do that for things that you actually like. But I was really uncomfortable with it, and so I actually just started doing it probably like late December of this past year. So I was making a living doing other things, but now that I've started to monetize Instagram and make decent money at it, I've kind of shifted my focus to do more of that than do like website stuff and other things, because I was kind of having to freelance and build other brands, and I would obviously prefer to build my own. And so now that I can make money and build my own, that's kind of what I've been focusing on. But yeah, I just kind of started monetizing that, and I just recently monetized my podcast as well. So
nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations. We have yet to do that.
Yeah, I signed up
We have
with
so
like a
many
platform.
listeners. Thank you guys for being here.
Love you all.
Okay, my next question is, are you really tall, or do I have bad posture, or both? Because I feel sunken down here.
I have awful posture. I'm reminded of that every day. I'm very tall. My dad is 6'4", so I just like, I shot up. I've been the tallest kid in class since I can remember.
I think Marty also has a bad posture. So
It's
sit
a
up straight.
combination.
Come on.
Sorry, Mom.
Come on.
Wait,
No, she's still taller than you. Yeah, you're fine. You're
I'll
just
slow
short.
down. I'll slow down.
Tell us about your dogs.
Okay, so I have 2 dogs.
No, for real.
Suddenly, I'm very excited. Yeah, I have 2 dogs. I have a 1.5-year-old golden retriever. Her name is Ella. She's the light of my life. She's my soulmate. She's my best friend. I am obsessed with her. I got her like a week before I moved into the van, and so I've had her the entire way. She is a van dog through and through. Like, she doesn't know anything else, which is amazing. And then I just recently rescued a Chihuahua like 3 months ago. And so she's still getting used to it, but she's like 4 pounds, so she kind of has to do whatever I say, and like has to be a van dog. She can't mess anything up. She's 4 pounds. So her name is Pearl. She's 7 years old, and I rescued her in Sacramento. And yeah, actually, on the topic of my dogs, when I went to adopt a dog, before I got Ella, when I was about to move into the van, I tried and I was declined at like 10 shelters. So I wasn't able to adopt because I would fill out the application and say that I was going to live in a van, and every single person was saying no, no, no. And so I was like getting really anxious because I knew I wanted to live in a van with a dog. And so I ended up like finding a local family who just had puppies, and I ended up getting her that way. But then thankfully, because of Instagram, like that's the worst part about stuff like that. Like they were totally fine to give me Pearl, you know, a year and a half later because I was going to do a story for them. So it's kind of silly, but
It's, honesty is the worst policy. That's what they
I know, but what I was scared of was lying on the application and then them like being able to take the dog back or something because they found out I was lying, which I don't think that's a real thing, but I was like, God, I'm not going to fall in love with a dog and then they're going to take it away.
Have you had, one of the things that really interests me about the whole van life thing is that we're in this legally gray area, right? Like,
Right.
if you sleep on the street, a lot of the time you're breaking the rules.
Right.
And so, have you been messed with? Do you...
By police
do you
or by
stuff
a
camp?
person?
I feel like the police usually are just the extension of a busybody resident, right?
Correct. Almost always. Like someone's tattled on you for sure. I've gotten knocked on twice, and both times I was parked in a Planet Fitness parking lot and like kind of doubted whether or not I was going to be there. Like one time I was in a Planet Fitness in Monterey, and so I was like in an area where they probably don't really want you in the Planet Fitness parking lot. So I wasn't surprised either time. But like the first time was in San Diego at a Planet Fitness, and the cop knocked on my door, and I opened the sliding door, and he immediately was like, "Oh my God, what is this?" And so it was like he told me to move, but we ended up talking for like 15 minutes. And he was like, "Okay, like whatever, this is so cool, just a girl and her dog." Like I thought I was gonna be dealing with like drug addicts or something, like you know what I mean, like people doing bad things. But other than that, I've never had anybody bother me. I highly prefer BLM or just like being in the middle of nowhere, so I don't want to risk it. Like I know on BLM I'm gonna be good. So yeah, I haven't really had any issues.
Do you get pushback or anger on social media at all?
For what?
Living in a van?
No, I think most people that follow me because I live in
They're
it.
self-selected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the first time we've ever done a podcast in front of people. Usually it's just self-indulgent, us sitting around and talking and stuff. If any of you have questions, I encourage you to walk up here and I'll hand you the microphone. I don't know if you guys are in vans or not, but the whole thing is very fascinating to me, and all three of us have been living in vans for a while. So if you want to do that, do it. If not, I'm going to keep asking inane questions. All right. Onward. What?
Raise your hand or come on up whenever you feel called.
What about my dog that smiles? Does she smile? Oh, of course she smiles. She's a golden retriever. She's the smiliest dog I've ever seen.
They're the happiest.
She loves life. Yeah. Yeah, she smiles so big.
People get so weird about dogs and vans.
Okay.
I found.
If I get any pushback, it's about my dogs. People will be like, "Oh my God, I just feel so bad for those dogs." And I'm like, my dog is living so much better than your dog. Please. We go to like 3 dog parks a day. She hikes nonstop. She sees parts of the world like your dog will never see. Granted, like I have no judgment. Before, like I grew up with dogs in the backyard. It's fine. It's great. But like, you can't tell me that my dog is like, "Oh, sad poor dog." Like, my dog is smiling all the time. I have witness in front of me. Like,
Part of the reason Marty did the van was so that he could take Spin with him everywhere. And like Spin has been to more states in the United States than I have.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. Only because I missed out on one southern trip. But it's crazy. It's like you get people, they're like, "Oh my God, is your dog okay?"
right.
You're like, "My dog is stoked right now."
Right. I tell people all the time the best part about van life is having a dog to do it with. Like, I've only hiked one mountain like my entire life. It was in Lake Tahoe, and at the top of the mountain, I was like so grouchy. I hated my life. I was only doing it because I was doing it with my friend who made me do it, and he knew like the whole time I'm complaining to him, and I was like, "Dude, I'll turn around any moment if you give me the go ahead. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here." And then when we got to the top, I saw Ella like running in the snow and stuff, just like being crazy, getting like the zoomies and doing whatever. And I like started bawling because I was like, who gives their dog this? Like my dog just hiked a 14-mile mountain and is looking at this insane view, just like watching her play with my friend's dog, and like having that life and having the ability to give her that is like the most incredible feeling in the world. I don't think that van life would be what it is at all if I didn't have my dogs.
We were in San Francisco in June, and Colette's she's fuming. We were in San Francisco in June, and my friends live up on Potrero Hill. They have a really nice house up there, and we went to one of their kids.
Over here shaking her head.
We went to one of their kids' birthday parties. This is a friend of mine for 20 years who I went to college with, and we go to the party, and his wife, Sarah, asks me where the dog is, and then I get all of this judgment from her friends because I left my dog in a car when it's 90 degrees outside.
Tell the punchline. This woman's like asking us question after question after question about the dog. Is the dog okay? Is the dog okay? We're like, the dog is fine. And she goes, sorry, I like dogs more than I like kids. Right? And she's got 2 kids like running around the birthday party, and I wanted to look at her so bad and be like, I do like dogs more than kids, so please leave me alone. Like our dog is fine.
And like my dog is my kid, so I worry about my dog the way that you worry about your kid.
I'm like, don't worry, like I'm good. If you didn't want to have kids, you should have got a dog, so leave me alone.
Yeah, people are super resistant to change, and there's like a way to do things. But as long as the van is insulated and ventilated, the dog, the way that you, this is my opinion, the way that you should raise a dog is crate training the dog, because it helps with potty training and all of that. And if you do that, the van is the nicest freaking crate that the dog's ever seen. Yeah,
people have said the same. If I had a crate in the van, and I was like, okay, first of all, the van is a crate, but like, where would I put a crate in my van? Like, I have absolutely no room for a giant crate, especially when it is the same size. It doesn't really make sense.
Have you spent, apart from going to see the boy that you were with before, have you spent time outside of your van, like staying in a place or away from the dogs
Like
at all?
backpacks?
No, well, sure, but I meant in a building, in a house.
Like spent a night away from my dogs?
Well, or just like an extended period, a week or 2.
No. Oh no. I spent 2 days away from them. Last year I flew to LA to go to VidCon, and that was the longest I've ever been away. And I only had Ella at the time, so I left her for 2 days. But other than that, I've never left my dogs like for longer than maybe 2 or 3 hours. Like I don't need to be away from them. If I had to leave and go do something, it would be fine. But yeah, I think like people always ask if they have separation anxiety, but I think I have separation anxiety. Like I think my dogs Ella would be fine. She would love it. But no, I would not be okay. I just worry about them nonstop. So 2 hours is good for me.
We go into the cinema to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And we come out and both of us are like, I miss Spin. You know?
Yeah, no, I'm the exact same way.
Does anybody have any questions? Where do you poop?
Do you want to ask us for real now? I don't know.
Repetition. It sounds like you want to answer it.
I mean, I'm not dying to answer it, but I don't want to be the person who's like, I'm good, I won't talk about it. I feel like Christian had a question a second ago, and I wanted
Christian,
to
ask a question.
Oh my God. You can listen to my podcast if you want that answer. I go into detail.
My question was, I know you said you don't know what you're going to do long term. Do you see yourself living in a van for 5 more years, 20 years? How long do you see yourself being in a van?
Christian, can you say that in the microphone?
Yes, I was saying, I know you said that you want to do long term, but do you see yourself living in a van?
Yes. Yeah, I want to live in the van for another 5 years. I don't feel any need to settle down. I don't think I don't see a clock ticking or like anything telling me I have to do something else. I always tell people the day I wake up and I'm not happy living in a van, I won't live in a van, but right now that's never happened one time. And so I don't have to worry about it yet. Maybe in 5 years. Maybe in 3, maybe in 10.
I've had like only 2 or 3 people on the podcast who have either recently transitioned out of a van or are trying to do it. And those are super interesting conversations for me, because I feel the same way that you do. Like, I love the van, I love the malleability and options that it gives me, and I'm super curious to see what the little fulcrum is that makes me decide not to do it anymore.
Right. Someone messaged me the other day asking about van life and like why I liked it and this and that, and they were like, yeah, but aren't backyards just great? Like, that was their message, and I was like, I have the biggest backyard. It doesn't even make sense to me. I guess like somebody with a completely different mentality, that makes sense. But I feel like if I'm sitting in the Alabama hills, I mean, I have hundreds of miles of backyard versus like your fenced-in little backyard, which is also great, but you can't tell me backyards are great and then have like a 10 by 10.
And tomorrow, if you wanted to, your backyard can be ocean.
Exactly. Right? Ocean, desert, like mountains, it's kind of whatever you want.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been able to go on any of the trips really that we've gone on without the van. Like, we've got to do so much traveling. Like, we have a home base here in the San Diego area, and like getting to go on these trips all the time, we never would have got to do that because you got to pay for a hotel or an Airbnb, and you got to figure out all this stuff or plane tickets or whatever. And we're like, we just get to go and like not even have to pack. That's my favorite.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
no, I do love that.
All right. So you have a question.
Do you plan on going to all the national parks? And would you ever take your van like overseas, like shipping?
Good question.
Am I answering your
Let me just restate that in case anybody didn't hear it. Do you plan on going to all of the national parks, and would you ever consider going overseas, like taking your van overseas or something like that?
I don't have a goal of going to every national park. Like, that's not a thing I'm setting out to do. I'd like to go to as many as possible, but some of them don't appeal to me at all. The only reason I've been to Joshua Tree is because it's nearby. Like, the actual national park of Joshua Tree is not appealing to me really whatsoever. There's many national parks that are that way. So I'll just go to the ones that I like and avoid the ones that I don't. And then shipping my van overseas, the only issue with that is my dogs. Like, I'm not really sure. I think if I have 2 dogs, I can only travel with one on me, and then the other one has to travel with the luggage, and I'm not very stoked on that idea. So I'm not really sure if I'd be able to travel internationally with my dogs. But honestly, I haven't looked into it that much, and I have a lot left to do in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So I feel like that would be in like 3 to 5 years when I have run out of options in North America.
I'll answer the question too. Most national parks actually don't allow dogs, which sucks. And so, like, you either got to leave the dog in the van or something. And then on the foreign European front, homegirls got dual citizenship with the EU. So when I get prostate cancer, we're getting married, and I'm going to get me some of that socialist health care, dude.
Love that.
It's right around the corner. I'm almost 40. Yeah. We actually went over to tried to go to Zion, and I took the dog in the kiosk, and they fussed at me. And Ivan's is right next to it, and it's just as pretty.
There is a really nice dog trail in Zion. I must say. There's only one.
The easy paved one? That's the only one that I saw that came up.
Yes, no, but it's gorgeous.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but I also believe Zion is like by far the least dog-friendly national park. Like, in my opinion, only because you have to like shuttle bus most places. Like, even at most national parks, you can at least pull up to a trailhead and then go hike with or without your dog. But Zion, you have to like stay at the very front, which is always packed and kind of like, I don't know, overcrowded anyways. And then you have to shuttle to a trailhead and then hike and then shuttle back. And so that can be a really long process. Like, you're away from your dog for hours.
The national parks in Canada were awesome because they just didn't care what you were doing with your dog. Like, we were able to take him everywhere in Banff and in Yoho, and it was awesome.
What's your next spot that you're headed in North America?
I'm going to Alaska this summer.
Are you really?
Yeah, so I have never been north of Portland, so I'm gonna do like the rest of Oregon, and I've actually only done Bend and Portland in Oregon. So I'm gonna like do the coast, do anything else that I want, and then go to Washington, British Columbia, Alaska, and then come back down. And when I come back down, I'll probably go all the way over to Banff, and then keep going back down here.
Are you caravanning up there with people?
No.
Just
I'm
gonna
not a
do
big
it.
caravan girl. I just like doing things with me. Like, I could caravan for a few days, and I have, but I know there's like a big group doing that same trip this summer, and I mean, I love all of those people, and I could probably meet up with them here and there, but I can't do people for longer than 4 days, probably.
We haven't tried it yet, and one of the things that I'm not gonna make the effort to do is.
What was that look?
I know, dude. So sassy, Shane. Shane fixed my plumbing earlier.
Did he?
I finished my second van yesterday,
So handy.
and the sink was screwed
Oh, yeah?
completely, and he fixed it earlier. So look at him.
Thank you, Shane.
Does anybody else have any questions? Don't be shy. Come up here. You can beatbox if you want to.
Big debut.
I love British Columbia, by the way.
What was your favorite part?
Save some time for British Columbia. Vancouver's the jam. Victoria Island has the best weather of all of Canada. And Canadians are just wonderful people. They have a weird.
Yeah, they're very nice.
Are any of you guys Canadian? Come on. No, Canadians have a
Christian's
different
like,
take
I
on the
wanna
world. He's like, I wanna be. Cool. What else is there? How does this podcast go? Oh, here we go. Tell me about your vans. You're in a Transit now. What were you in before?
I was in a 2011 Sprinter,
Okay.
which was diesel, and I'm just naming all the differences of what I have now. Yeah, I had a high roof, 144-inch wheelbase. The build was somewhat similar to the one I have now, and then currently I'm in a 2017 Ford Transit. Same with a high roof, it's a 148-inch wheelbase. And yeah, I've been in this one for a year and a half. I was in that one for 8 months. And I love the Transit so much more than the Sprinter.
Really?
Oh my God. I would recommend the Transit a million times over the Sprinter.
Why?
I had some mechanical issues with, that's a fantastic laugh. I had some mechanical issues with my Sprinter, and I think it just gave me like some light PTSD on Sprinters. And so I knew if I went the same route this time, I'd get very nervous and I would always be waiting for something to go wrong. And I didn't want to deal with that mindset, but like, my friend even got his oil changed the other day, and it was like $200, and my oil changes are literally $35, and like my brake pads are nothing, and like even the small things that add up, like all of mine are astronomically cheaper than a Sprinter. And so when you get into like a big mechanical problem like I had, it was $10,000. It took 3.5 weeks to get the parts because they were all coming from Germany, and I was treated like a young girl living in a van. Even though I was paying my entire life savings, I still was not treated if I was like a man coming in with a suit kind of thing, which like I didn't think that was very real until I experienced it myself. And like everybody just kept passing me off. I would go in constantly to be like, any progress? You guys get the parts in yet? What's going on? And everybody would be like, what? Who are you? What's going on? What? We have your van? And I was just like, dude, I cannot deal with this again. I don't want to. And so yeah, the next time I went with the Transit, and I love it. And I can go to any mechanic I want, and the parts are always there, or they're very easy to get. They're cheap.
So what's next? You're getting a new van. Here's a compound question.
Yes.
What van are you gonna get, and what are you changing? What's missing from the current van?
Okay, so I'm gonna get another Transit for sure. I would consider, if I can work out some type of deal where like I would do a lot of marketing for them, I would love to get a quickly upgrade with a 4x4. So if I could get like a 50% off discount or something. So I would love to like upgrade that to a 4x4 because I don't have that right now, but it's very expensive. And then in terms of the build, I would change my dinette conversion of the benches and table to just a fixed bed because I don't ever use the benches and table. So I would rather have a fixed bed. I don't know. People keep convincing me to try and get a 12-volt fridge because I have a 110-volt fridge. But my fridge was like $100, and the cheapest 12 volt is like $400, but the nice ones are like $800 to $1,200.
How much power do you have that you're running 110.
It doesn't take that much. It really doesn't.
Your inverter's on all the time.
Yes, unless if it's really cold at night, because sometimes I am places that are freezing, I'll turn it off overnight so that like my inverter just gets a break. Or if like I'm really low on groceries, because I know that, I mean I don't know this actually at all, but I feel like it would need a break sometimes. So I'm like, I'm just gonna let you sleep for a couple hours. But like I have a standard inverter. My batteries are broken because I sat in a driveway for a month and I let my batteries die. And then I let them stay dead for a while, so I need to replace them, but it has nothing to do with my fridge. Like for a year, my fridge was phenomenal. Everything worked fine. And then ever since I let my batteries die and stay dead for a month, I've been pretty screwed.
It's good that you're sensitive even with your refrigerator. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it was very caring.
Wait, I'm still wrapping my head around this.
Wait, we never covered the digital nomad thing.
And though, let's get to that in a minute. I'm busy
Got it,
here.
got it.
What about the? What about the? What you got a 110 fridge? What? Okay, so what is? Tell me. We're gonna geek out about electrical for a second. What is feeding your batteries? You got solar, probably.
Yeah, I have 400 watts of solar.
And then you have a battery-to-battery charger?
What does that mean?
Something that charges off of your alternator?
Oh, yes.
And that's why it died.
I didn't know that was called battery to battery.
Well,
Oh, like
some
my
of them
car
are
battery.
called isolators.
Now I know what
There's
that
an
is.
ACR. There are a bunch of
Yeah,
different
I'm
things.
familiar with isolator. But yes, it is connected to my alternator. So even if I just turn my van on, I don't even have to be driving, but if I turn my van on, it will charge the batteries.
Like a generator.
Yes.
Sort of thing. And that's why it died when you were just sitting still for 4 months.
Correct. I didn't
Okay.
drive it at all, but I was also in Tahoe and it was cold. And so like there wasn't that much solar, like the batteries were just getting nothing ever.
Yeah.
And then I just let them stay at 0% for weeks,
Okay.
which is a big no-no.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's go back to the digital nomad thing. Tell me about this.
What specifically?
Yeah, no, how does it work?
I mean, okay, so when I moved into the van, I was living on this was my first van. I was living off of savings. I had some savings at the time, which later the mechanical failure just annihilated. So thank God I got things figured out before that happened. But I started a blog just for like friends and family to know what I was doing in the van. And like my first few blog posts were terrible. My website looked terrible, but I didn't have anything else to do. Like I was just bored in my van. And so I just started like 8 hours a day just focusing on nothing but my website. I learned about SEO. I learned about just keywords and design and development and all of these different things that go into building a good website. And then I learned about affiliate marketing and how to monetize that website. So I started making some money off of it, but not that much. And at the same time, I was growing my website, I was growing my Instagram. I was growing on Pinterest, which is actually now how I generate almost all of my traffic to my website. And so the longer I did that, brands start like in the van community were reaching out and like asking me to help with their websites or help with their social media. So I started freelancing a little bit and I was applying to like all these different publications to just do blog posts, and like you'll get paid literally cents, like 7 cents per word, but you'll write like a 1,000-word article. You do that a few times a week, like it just kind of accumulates, in combination with all of these other things. And then, like I was saying earlier, kind of as I was doing that, I started being able to monetize my Instagram or the podcast, or like I was making enough on my website, and so I kind of trickled out the working for other people and started focusing on myself and my own brand.
Nice. I meant to say this earlier. I don't remember if I did, but it's really interesting to me the difference between being alone in a van and being with somebody in a van.
Yeah.
I think you probably have more productive time as a result. Do you get lonely?
I really don't get lonely. I don't know if that's something is wrong with me. I don't know if it's because of my age.
Probably.
I'm like constantly, I'll be alone for a week feeling great. And I'm just like, you should probably be a little lonely by now. Like, come on. But I think it's because of my dogs. I talk to my dogs. I laugh with my dogs. I'm a psychopath about them. And so...
You're just a dog owner.
Right, I know, I'm just a parent.
I do that.
Right, and so it's like, there were days, I mean, especially before I got Pearl, but I would like be alone for 4 days on BLM, and I would find myself like Ella would do something and I'd be dying laughing, and I would be like, I literally wouldn't have laughed today because I would have been by myself if I didn't have this dog. Like, she's the reason why I'm dying laughing for the only time today. And so in combination with me being just a solo-minded person, like I love being by myself, with the fact that I have dogs, and like I have FaceTime, and all of my friends, if anyone wants to contact me, they know, like if you text me, I'm not gonna answer. If you call me, I might answer, but if you FaceTime me, I answer 10 out of 10 times. And so if I'm lonely at all, I will just FaceTime my friends. Like I'll spend 4 hours just like FaceTiming everyone, and then I don't need to talk to anybody for a few days. And then I'm good, you know?
Nice.
I'm so fascinated with that. I can't do FaceTime. When I get on FaceTime, I'm like, what do I do now?
Can you see me?
I don't.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I don't get it.
I just like a face-to-face interaction. That's what I prefer.
Yeah.
Me too, and I love phone calls, and this guy does not like phone calls. We were apart for like 3.5 weeks, and I kept trying to FaceTime him because I missed him, and he just wouldn't answer me. He was like, no. And I tried to call him, he's like, wouldn't answer me. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
dude,
god.
I miss
But
you.
then he like texts you right afterwards.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
I'm like, no, come on, I need to hear your voice. And he's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, no. I want to see your face. Yeah. Texting is just annoying. It's like you're just going back and forth, back and forth. I feel like I'm constantly picking up my phone doing this, and I'd rather just like talk to you for 30 minutes, get it over with, and then we're good.
I want to see their faces when I
Yeah.
talk to my friends that are far away, especially. It's like, I want to see your face.
And I want to see your dog.
expression.
Like they all have dogs. I'm like, I just want to see your dog. I want to see your house. Like I just want to see what's going on.
Yeah, totally. He's mad
Well, if we learned anything today, it's that I'm the worst.
You're the best.
Where do we find you on the internet? I mean, you guys already all follow.
Oh my god, no, it's fine. They're like, who is she? On Instagram, it's Divine on the Road. My name is Sydney, it's not Divine. Everyone's always like, hey, Divine. And I'm like, I'm like, hi. And so, yeah, Divine on the Road on Instagram. My podcast is called My Solo Road. And my website's called Divine on the Road. And I think that's all of the things.
Nice. What?
Does anyone else have any more questions before?
They're all racing up here.
Oh, our podcast is called From the Van. We're at From the Van on Instagram, at From the Van on, or I guess it's not at From the Van on YouTube. It would be youtube.com/From the Van. That's the website. It's all the things. We have stickers. If you want a sticker, I have a lot in my pocket. So I'll give you a sticker. You'll never forget about us. And we're just moving into a ProMaster from our Metris, so follow us and you can see what that's going on.
When can we expect the first podcast from the new band?
Ooh, that's interesting.
You answer that.
The question was, when can we expect the new podcast from the new van? And it's probably going to be in the next week or so. I really want to get Terra X on it. They're a van builder that's here. They have a beautiful vinyl wrapped van, and their vans are perfect. Like, if I had the money, I'd buy a van from them, but I don't, so I build my own, you know? But Alex has done a tremendous job helping me with my electrical system and that sort of stuff. Highly recommend them. They're cool guys, and their dog is the sweetest. So hopefully that'll be the first podcast from the new van in the next week or two, whenever their business slows down and whatnot. But go over there so that their business doesn't slow down.
That's good, yeah. And we come out with episodes every Tuesday.
That's
on
right.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. I think other podcast platforms that exist that I just don't know what they're called. All the things.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh, when does your podcast come out?
Yeah, when is your podcast?
My podcast is every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Yes.
So when you get done listening to ours, you can listen to Sydney's.
Absolutely.
And thank you guys for coming here. I hope that this was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, this was fun. I like it. I like
Good.
it live.
All right. Well, if you want some stickers, go into Colette's pocket, or our vans are over there.